Hey, I'm Matt Ward. I'm your host for the Mass Business Podcast. Welcome back. I'm so excited to have you for episode 19. And boy, do I have a treat for you today. I have my good friend Judy Galek on the podcast today, and I hope that you're going to really enjoy this conversation around her business. Not so much what she does, but how she's grown it, how she's adapted and changed over time. We're going to dig into that right here in this Mass Business Podcast. Are you ready? Let's go. Welcome to the Mass Business Podcast, where small business owners, also known as risk takers, share their stories about the growth of their business and themselves. Our interviews and our content is focused on growing a small business and understanding networking and referrals. I say it all the time, and I'll say it again today. You never know where your next referral will come from. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Mass Business Podcast, episode 19. I want to introduce you to my friend, Judy Galek. She's a certified life coach who specializes in family recovery support coaching, helping families work together as a team to reduce relapse rate and overdose rate through family-focused recovery methods. She provides one-on-one coaching to individual family members, as it only takes one to start a domino effect. Please join me in welcoming Judy Galek to the show. Hello, Judy. Welcome.
Hello, Matt. Thank you so much for having me on.
It's going to be a blast. I love your energy. I love hanging out with you. You know, I wrote a book, How to Do Business with People Who Bring You Joy. Judy, you always bring me joy. And the reason is you make me smile, right? We've never, actually we have done business. You're a client of mine, but I haven't actually done business with you, right? I'm not in a position currently with a family recovery or whatever. I have connected you to people who I think could be good referral sources. But I think the lesson here is you don't always have to do business with people to surround yourself with people who bring you joy. And folks, let me just tell you something. Judy is a massive networker. She loves it. And I would encourage you to find a way to get on a call with Judy, because she literally, it's like her mission to make you smile. I love it. It's so much fun.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I enjoy your company also. You're awesome.
Yeah, well, thank you. I thanks. I appreciate that. Hopefully get the Venmo payment for saying that. So here's the thing. There's something about you that I want to dig into real quick. Which is, and we haven't talked about this, so I'm totally blindsiding you with this, but in a couple episodes previously, somebody talked about authenticity. And Judy, I have to say that you're probably one of the most authentic people I've ever met in my life. And what I mean by that is you are who you are every single time I see or interact with you. You have no qualms about who you are. Your energy, you bring it every time. It's not a front. It's who you are. It's not a show. And if people don't like the energy that you bring for some reason or another, or you say something that they don't like, or you happen to drop a curse word here or there, and they don't like it, so be it. And you're totally cool with that. I love that. Where does that come from?
Oh, where does that come from? I don't know, actually. I've never been asked that question. And just by you acknowledging that I do feel seen, I feel like you're actually seeing me for who I am, because that's just how I am. I am myself. And I guess it's a thing that I had to learn. It's a process that I had to learn, not giving enough about what others think of me, because what I think of myself is what matters the most. And people will dislike you for one reason or another, and you cannot let that be your point of attachment to self-esteem or confidence or whatever else, that I had to learn through the hard way. And I guess the process for me.
Oh, so you mean you're telling me that you're not an overnight success, you're a 20-year overnight success. I love that. I say that all the time, right? People often look at who we are and the business we built and think that we did that in the last 24 hours, the last even 24 weeks. But the reality is we did it in the last 20 years,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yep. And
And I
it's always
wish, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say it's always baffling when people say to me, "Oh yes, of course you can do this because you're outgoing and people like you and you're pretty." And can you believe there was a time when I did not think myself as pretty or even attractive?
Mhm.
That was a major struggle for me, and I had to like learn that, just be okay with who I am. And it's definitely a process. It doesn't happen overnight.
That brings up a memory for me that I never used to think I was successful ever.
Mm.
And success is defined so differently by many, many different people. But for me, I just never saw myself as successful until one given week. I don't even recall when it was. One given week, three business people said that word to me in the same week. And that was sort of an awakening for me that others saw me as successful. And that I didn't even care what the definition of success was at the time. What I recognized was that others saw the work that I was doing. As you just said a few minutes ago, it's about, being seen and showing up in the world in the way in which you want to deliver. And it's so unique. And the reason I asked you about your authenticity is because, I think that that's a big component of small business. It's who we are as an identity. And if we are not authentic, if we don't show up in every way in which we show up, if we don't show up authentic the same every time, then people start to see that, and that lowers the ability to get referrals, that lowers the ability to grow a business. Um, yeah, I see that in networking all the time, right? I see in the speaking business, Judy, I saw this thing called speaker voice, which is like, okay, I'm talking to you now, and then I get up on stage and I'm like, hey, I'm Mr. Speaker Man, like radio voice, podcast voice, right? But that's not what people want. That they
Yeah.
just want the regular Joe or Jane, So,
Yeah.
um, talk to me a little bit about your business in 30 seconds or so. Just describe to the audience, the listening and viewing audience, what your business is all about.
Well, my business is about my heart's work. This is my heart's work, my passion. I love helping family members understand the recovery process, their roles in the recovery process, and how to effectively support someone who's going through the addiction, drug and alcohol addiction recovery.
Okay, and so to be clear, you don't work with the person who's going through the recovery process. You work with the actual families, which is a completely different model than I think most people are accustomed to hearing about.
Yeah, yeah, and I think a lot of people have it backwards actually, because I mean I know for certain there are people who spend X amount of time, 3 or 6 months, even a year or 2 years away from the family and treatment and going through that process, and right when they go back home, they experience a relapse because home is not conducive to recovery. And a lot of the reason, most of the reason, the main reason why anybody goes through that process and they chronically relapse, it's because of that lack of support. When the family is not on board, when the family is adding too much pressure, when the family is asking the wrong questions, doing all the wrong things, that feeds into the cycle of addiction, and it makes that process a lot longer than it needs to.
Mm, interesting. So how do you go to market with your business? How as a business owner, how are you finding clients?
Networking, talking to wonderful people like yourself,
What
meeting
what is
people.
it about networking that works for you?
Connection. I love
Mm,
connecting with people. That's also the thing I struggle with, because I find that many people are very shallow and they're kind of like just wanting a sell, or they want to tell you about their products so you know about them so you can get them a sale, and not really connecting to learn about each other and get to know and like and trust each other, right?
Yeah.
Which is what it's all about.
Yeah, and that's tough, right? Because not to pick on any particular industry, financial advisors. But here's the thing, like, so I always like to say that you can walk to the end of my driveway to pick up the mail and trip over a realtor, a mortgage professional, and a financial advisor. And it, as I like to say on the Big Connect every month, look, if you get paired up with a financial advisor, just remember financial advisors are people too, right? The problem is that so many financial advisors have given such a bad rap to the good ones, right? And so the good ones are fewer and far between, right? The ones that build relationships and connect and are genuine and are interested in the relationship long term and not so much your business. And then they want to get connected to other people with good referral partners. But oftentimes I'll do a one-to-one with somebody, their financial advisor, and sort of wrapping up the call. I'm like, well, so who can I connect you with? And they're like, well, somebody like yourself. I mean, don't you have life insurance you'd like to move over? Or I'm like, no, that's not how this works. It's
Yeah.
just not how this works. That's just gross, you know.
Yeah.
So the thing is we gotta do the numbers, right? So that's the painful part of the process of networking. But when we find those core people, this is the always thing I love to say is that we don't need thousands of clients, right? We need handfuls, a dozen, something like that. And so that's what I love, the people, the connection that you talk about, the connection. I mean, it's amazing the type of people I've met over the years that have become friends, and it's a powerful, powerful thing to surround yourself with these people that uplift you all the time, you know?
Yeah.
What's your biggest struggle as a solopreneur and entrepreneur yourself? What's the biggest struggle for you growing your business?
Mm, biggest struggle, I would say, I love networking, but it's also a challenge. So connecting with people, as I say, and I find that a lot of people misunderstand exactly what I do. They think, they automatically think I work with the people who are going through the drug and alcohol addiction and not the family. But I do work with the family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Why is that? Why do you think that's a struggle? Just because they haven't heard of somebody working with the family before?
Well, yes, and the whole industry and how they market things, it's mainly focused on getting them to treatment, the drug addicts, getting
Mm-hmm.
them to treatment, getting them to stop those behaviors. And a lot of people reach out to me and they say, oh yes, my child is struggling with addiction. Please help her. Like, you need to work with her. I'm like, no, I would be working with you,
Right.
because you're the support system and maybe part of the, everyone is connected, and triggers are people, places, and things. So if you are being helpful and you are supportive and you're helping people, your loved ones, manage those things, then that whole process is much easier, and it can even be a wonderful thing. It's a learning experience for both parties.
I love that you said that, right? So learning experiences for both parties. And that's I also think what business is all about. It's about constantly learning new things, right? So whether it's learning how to network better, learning where to go to find networking events, learning who to take networking appointments with, what are you learning now that is for your business or something around that?
I am learning how to refine my consultation process. I have a tendency to, again, this is my heart's work, right? So when people are in the middle of telling me their stories, and it's just something within me, I don't feel comfortable with just stopping someone and say, okay, well, stop right there. I have this next question to ask you so we can get through my process in a time frame that I'm working on. And it's a challenge, but I'm working on it, learning to do better with that.
How do you learn? How do you stay up to date, whether it be industry related or even non-industry, sort of business related? How do you stay up to date with with new things?
I read. I read a lot of books. I love YouTube. I love talking to people. I also attend the family support group meetings.
Hmm. So
Um,
you're involved
yeah,
in the vertical space of recovery work, and you're learning things there, and then you're reading periodicals, books, magazines, articles,
hmm,
blogs in the business space and learning things there.
yeah. And I
Where do you
also visit the facility centers, the
Oh yeah.
rehabilitations, and yeah, I do that
Where
too.
do you find the time to do all this, Judy?
Where do I find? Well, I don't do it all at once. A
So,
little bit
what's
at a
your process?
time.
You were talking about reading books. Do you read books every day?
Oh yes, I read
Yeah.
about at least 20 minutes a day.
Okay.
Sometimes I end up reading for a whole hour, but it's a good thing. I love reading. Rehabilitation visits, I do that maybe once or twice a week.
Hmm.
Sometimes less, depending on what else I have going on. And meetings, I do 2 family support group meetings a week.
So, when it comes to business as a whole, I mean, you're doing a lot there. Plus, not to mention, you have your own clients you're working with, and your own commitments to networking that you're doing, and constantly trying to grow. And you're running a family, right? So,
Yes.
what would you say is your biggest challenge when it comes to learning new things and continuing to grow?
Um, I don't see it as a challenge. I mean, if I
Mm.
had an extra 10 hours in my day, that would be awesome. Yeah.
I heard somebody in business say the other day that her specialty was saving business, giving back 5 hours a week to business owners.
Wow. I would love to hear how that's done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Without
it's
taking away from the other stuff I'm already doing, right?
Well, so that's the thing, right? I think one of the key components of that is outsourcing certain tasks.
Mm,
The more you can systemize certain things in your business, now obviously you can't outsource certain things, right? And there are many business owners that can't outsource certain work that they do. But
yeah.
there's a lot of busy work that we business owners tend to do. We get
Oh yeah.
enveloped in some of the social media stuff. We get involved in developing white papers and downloads and SEO and WordPress website updates and all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff. And those small things can add time back to your calendar.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I do have my website and SEO and all that stuff outsourced. I think what
Hmm.
I could outsource that would free up my time is maybe having a housekeeper come in once a week and a cook.
You that so that is a It's so interesting you bring that up, Judy, because I think many people listening or viewing this podcast on YouTube, they are not thinking about outsourcing things in their personal life to help them both free up personal time and as such business time. And it's like one of my clients recently had someone come in and do their laundry, and she was loving every minute of it because she gained all that time back. And yeah, there's a trade-off, right? It's the time for the money. But there's a book out there called Who Not How. And it's written with the concept of who can do this work, not how can I get this done. And
Right.
it's basically built around the idea of outsourcing, and the author outsourced the book, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so who not how is like, okay, who can be the chef? Who can be the cleaner? Who can be the housekeeper? Who can be the laundry thing? Who can mow? I By the way, I should just be as authentic as possible. I don't mow any grass in my entire life, like nothing. For the properties I have, yeah, yard people. Thank you very much. I
Yeah.
have zero interest in pushing or riding a mower. The only time I'd love to ride a mower is when I can put a Bluetooth headset on and listen to music at the same time. But I won't actually do it, Judy. There was a time early on in my business ownership with my web design company that I had a house. I had a really nice ride on mower. And I was so busy with the business, the mower never came out of the garage, and my neighbors mowed my lawn because it got so long. Now it's just super simple. I get into a contract with a landscaping company and I say, can you just take care of it, make it look pretty?
Yeah, and
Because I
it's
don't have to
done.
touch it now. It's done. And yeah, there's a cost trade-off, right? I see the charge every month on my credit card. But would I rather do that than go push a mower or ride on it, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I hear you. And you spend more time doing what you love, and that's creating and producing more income, right?
That's the idea. Doesn't always
Yep.
work to produce more income. Sometimes it,
Well, if you're having someone, mow
yeah.
your lawn and you're sitting in front of the TV, not,
Well, that's
not really
that's
productive
the other
there. But
issue, right? I mean, you definitely don't want to do that for sure. Business owners out there, that's a challenge right now. That you want to do that. When you think about running a business, like when you think, how long have you been in business, Judy?
a little bit over 2 years now.
Okay. So
Yeah.
2 years. So we've had a couple people on the podcast that were brand new within 1 year, 18 months, 2, 3 years. When you think back to when you started and compare that to now, what do you wish you knew then that you know now?
The power of networking.
Ooh.
Yes. I was an introvert. I mean, I still consider myself an introvert.
Hmm.
And you would think I'm very outgoing and like life of the party, right? But like put me in a room full of people, I'll be standing in the corner.
Hmm.
That's me. And I had to work myself out of that.
How did
And
you do
with
that, Judy?
Zoom,
How did you do
well,
that?
Zoom made it easier
Hmm.
being behind the camera. And with now, since COVID, those gatherings are much smaller and they
Hmm.
consist of people I've already met on Zoom.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that ease a lot of the stress for me, because I mean, if I've already had a conversation with you and I know you feel and understand who I am,
Hmm.
the question is always, are they going to like me? Am I gonna be too much,
Mm.
for people who don't know who I am? Because I mean, that's been the feedback I get from many
It's so
people.
interesting that you mentioned that. When I became a professional speaker, I found out rather quickly that my number one issue was need for approval. I was standing on stage wanting everyone in the audience to approve of me and what I said. And eventually I was able to shed that. And I never forget, I watched an audience member get up and leave the room. I was speaking in Las Vegas. And literally, while I was speaking, my head consciously was telling me, it was saying to me, why is she leaving the room? This is good content. I literally said that to myself. Why are you leaving the room? This is good content. And then I talked to my coach about it. And
Hmm.
she was amazing. The first thing she said was, well, maybe she had to go to the bathroom. Oh, good point. Then she said, well, maybe she got an emergency text from her kids. I'm like, oh, good point. And then she said, and maybe your content sucked. And I was like, oh, good point. And then she said, here's the thing, Matt. You got to know who you're for and who's for you. And that's when it set in. When Tamsin Webster told me that, I realized immediately we don't need all the clients in the world. As I said earlier, we don't need 1,000 clients. We need 10. We need 20, right? We need to know our numbers to know what we need to get. And by someone self-selecting out of your service actually is of service to you, because now you're not chasing the wrong prospects. And
Hmm.
so um I would say never think about whether or not they're going to like you, because the people that like you, Judy, don't just like you, they love you. I know a lot of people who know you and they love you. They love the energy
Aw.
and the authenticity, you know?
Thank you, Matt. One thing I've learned since then, like again, it's been a process for
Hmm.
me, right? Is that everybody is actually thinking of themselves. They're not thinking about you. They're thinking of themselves. And we all do that, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so it's just no point to even waste that time and energy thinking about what they're thinking of you when they are
Hmm.
thinking about what you're thinking of them.
That's I don't even know how that's going to be written in the transcript in the show notes, but we're going to figure out how to write that in the show notes, folks. That's going to end up in
Awesome.
a quote with Judy's name on it. What?
Uh-oh.
And I can't re-quote it. We're going to have to pull it right out of the audio file. It's going to be fantastic. That's a great quote.
No, thank
So
you.
what's next for your business, Judy? What's next for you?
Group coaching.
Mhm.
It's been an idea for quite some time, but I've really been putting a lot of thought and energy into it. I do have a free Facebook group, but
Mhm.
essentially I would love to have a paid group where people are committed to doing the work and a community of others who are going through the same, similar situation and experience so they can really get that support, not just from me, but from the whole community.
And so, are you, because this is a new service for you, are you analyzing other group coaching programs and seeing what you like, don't like, what you want to change about them to make it work for you? That's kind of what I did for my group coaching program.
Yes, I've gone through that process, and the way I'm going to do it is I'll have a weekly Zoom call with the group, so whoever is available and can jump on there, it will be live but not recorded for privacy purposes.
Oh, right.
Yes, and in the group, in the actual group, the community, I will be active in there, perhaps 2, 3 times a week,
Hmm.
on video, but I'll be
Hmm.
interacting with the questions that people publish and ask and all that stuff.
Super cool.
Yeah.
So, what about the work to get there, right? I mean, I think small business owners, they get these ideas, which are often white shiny objects, right? And we chase them, and we start to realize that there's a whole bunch of work involved. So,
Hmm.
um, I know what's involved in launching a group coaching program, and I imagine you're starting to realize what could be involved in that. Um, do you worry? Like, is it like, what's your mindset around launching a new service offering? Is it a challenge for you, or do you worry about whether or not you can pull it off?
No, I can certainly pull it off. For me, what's been the challenge is because it's a course. I'm building a course, and people will buy the course and be placed in that group afterward for
Mm-hmm.
continuous support. So it's mainly creating the course for me, figuring out what to put into it because I have so much I can share.
Yeah.
It's going to be about boundaries. Boundaries is something a lot of people struggle with in the recovery field, not knowing what it is or how to enforce it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot. So just refining what I'm going to have in the course, create the course, and then launch it. And my mindset is it's something people want.
Mm-hmm.
People want it. People are desperate for this type of work.
And for those people who are thinking about adding a course to your service offerings, I'll just share with you how I did mine. I did a live 3-hour workshop in Houston, Texas in 2019, and I recorded it on audio and recorded it on video for myself. It was only for myself. And then I rewatched everything and broke down the modules that I had written out. And then those modules became the modules for the course. And then I just recorded all the videos for the course based on the content that I did. So don't forget, you can repurpose your content and your workshops and things into these online classes. And
Yeah.
that helps accelerate the ability to get it out the door. So,
Oh yes, yes. With the free group coaching,
yeah,
well, the free Facebook group I have, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it live in that group and record it and then
there you go.
repurpose it in that way.
See,
Yeah.
that's genius. That's a great tactic. Now, speaking of services and software and things like that, I always like to ask the guests, what one piece of software do you think is a game changer for small business that could help other small business owners?
I tried so many things and tried doing all of that stuff myself, and I found it much easier for me when I outsourced to Thrive.
Oh, yep.
Yeah. So they do my small like short videos.
Mm-hmm.
I can book my services through them,
Mm-hmm.
and they do my website, and
Yeah.
email campaign. They have that available too. So that was definitely a game changer for me, having everything just be in one place, and I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And social media content too. They do.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
post
yeah.
on
There you
social.
go.
Yeah.
So Thrive,
Yep.
THRYV, right?
Yep.
I think. Okay. Yeah. We'll add that in the show notes. You said earlier that you like to read. Best business book you've read?
Well, of course, your book, Matt.
I
And
know.
no, you didn't pay me to say this. And I have to say it's one of the best books because it's authentic and
Yeah.
it's full of tips and it's real, like things people would not think about. Like a lot of the business book I've read, it's more so like, going after the kill or whatever,
Yeah.
and doing all the stuff to get the sale or to close the deal. But your book was more so like authentic and tips on how to connect with other people, which is, like with my business, it's all about connection because, a lot of people who are struggling with addiction, they're not advertising it, so that helped me a lot. Yeah.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, I appreciate that. Wait, all right. Give me another book now. Not my book, but give me another book.
Okay. The Go Giver.
Oh, Bob Berg. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
The
Go
Go
Giver.
Giver.
I love that book. It's very small, short and sweet.
Yeah.
Ties into what you write in your book about being of service to other people and not really worried so much about where the business is going to come and trusting that it will come, because once people like you and they will refer to you.
Yeah, I just had a conversation with Bob the other day, and he's such a great guy. He's open, he's honest, and I'm really excited. I'm told him about my new book that's coming out, and he's excited to help me launch that. So that's going to be fun. So
nice.
Yeah,
he's
such a great guy. He's such a great guy, and I think his books have changed the world in a lot of ways. The people that get their hands on them love them, and they say the same, very similar things to what you said, and I think that's great. So we'll make sure we add a link in the show notes to the Go Giver on Amazon. You can check that out. Judy, thanks for joining us on this episode 19 of the Mass Business Podcast. If the listeners on their favorite podcast platform or viewers on YouTube want to get in touch with Judy Galek, how can they do so? How can they reach out, whether it's just for networking or for a chat about family recovery support?
My email is the best contact information for me. That's Judy Galek at Passage. That's PASSAGE.LLC.com. My email address and social media. Hopefully if someone Googles my name or hop on Facebook, they'll find me.
There you go. And if you don't know how to get a hold of her, we're going to put all those links in the show notes, her website, her email, social media links, things like that. We'll have them all in the show notes so you can make sure you can connect with her. Judy, thank you so much for sharing your insight about business growth, what you do, and the challenges that you face. That information is really going to help other people and the things you've learned in the 2 years you've been in business. I can't wait to talk to you in another 5 years to see what has changed from now. Can you believe it? Wow. I hope this podcast is still going strong then. We'll see if it works. Maybe it'll be on episode 19. Maybe it'll be episode 1019 or something, right?
Yeah, that would be amazing. Fun. Thank you so much, Matt. This was
absolutely,
wonderful.
Absolutely. And for those of you listening, make sure that you subscribe on the favorite podcast app. Don't forget to like and share and smash that subscribe button on YouTube. And like I always say, until next time, don't forget to live happy, smile a lot, and high five everyone around you. Take care, everybody.
I'm waking up this morning, gonna grab myself a smile.
Thank you for listening to the Mass Business Podcast, where we focus on growing a small business and understanding networking and referrals. Don't forget to like on your favorite platform and share out this podcast. This show has been produced by Heather Grant, Music by Celtic Kelly, all rights reserved. I'm your host, professional speaker, author, and word-of-mouth referral consultant, Matt Ward. Don't forget to live happy, smile a lot, and high five everyone around you.
Feeling alright. High five the world. Yeah, yeah, yeah. High five the world. Make a difference today. High five the world. What a thing to say. Do you feel what I'm telling you?